Yeah, he's a senior.
Oh, isn't that kind of awkward?
Super awkward.
Do you see him?
No, he works at the UCLA store, so I can never go there yet.
Check out.
He broke up with me because he was like, I'm a senior, I'm gonna graduate. I'm like, why don't we just date until you graduate? He's like, no. Wow. He's like,
You know, he's probably just a boy who like wants to go and like fuck around.
I
Which is
know.
super shitty. But it's such like a fucking straight boy thing to do.
I know. He's like, I don't want to date with an expiration date. I'm like, okay.
That's dumb because anybody who dates in the next like months would be
Like, why does anyone date in college if there's an expiration date? You know? We're all gonna die. That's an expiration date.
Wait, do we have tape in here?
There should be some in that bag.
I'm gonna look. I didn't see it when I tried again.
Well, it might have fallen through the hole.
Told him we still need a bag. See, this should be my fourth platform as IDP. You get this new bag. Yeah, she is not in here.
Well,
That's okay though. We'll do. Do we really need all three of these?
I mean, it's upside down, sis.
Oh! I really just want to do it like that.
We don't necessarily need three. We just needed something that stated there was a live stream because that was part of the Usac live. That was initially created, but you, as IVP, can change that if you like.
One day. I
Consolidate to one time.
have too many
Yeah.
bylaw changes.
Too many things going on.
There. I'm just gonna do those too. How long did the meeting go on since I left last week?
What time did you leave? Like 8:30? Maybe 45?
Like I didn't miss a lot.
No.
Okay, so we're live now. I look so concerned in the photo.
Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? Pretty good, pretty good.
You're here to chair the meeting. You can leave. We'll sign whatever. You don't have to pitch us.
Well, you know, you know what you signed.
Do I?
Yes.
He responded. 17 seconds ago, so I need to wait.
Yeah, I understand. So this is is about, for voter registration.
Mhm.
We know that like one of the big takeaways from election day is that, having our same day voter reg site in Norwalk is crazy far, like.
Why don't they pick that? Is that where City Hall is or something, or?
Yeah, honestly, that's just where the registrar's office is, I think, for LA County. And so they decided that that was gonna be the only place where students, or where anyone could register in person the day of in LA County. So we had to turn away like dozens of people who either weren't registered in LA County and wanted to vote here, or like were registered today or something, but they never got their vote. Like others like that, where like sometimes it's the registrar fucked up, sometimes it's
Yeah.
like fucked up, but regardless, like they can't vote now.
Yeah.
So we are trying to get the LA County election officials to put a same day voter reg site on campus. So that like have those like potentially hundreds of students register same day in person and then vote in person. So we are trying to get student leaders to sign on. Here's the letter.
I'm a student leader.
That's us. I worked a few elections, so I have some contact info, people at the, LA registrar. If you want to connect, his name is Richard, he's cranky all the time.
Yeah, we met Richard.
Yeah.
On election days.
Is he cranky?
He's a tad stressed.
I don't blame him, it was a lot.
So, you can send me the letter.
How is, like, kind of Rafi's initiative of like getting automatic voter reg on the,
Yeah.
how's that going?
That, we actually need to meet with Karen Hedges about that. I know that it's definitely progressing forward. I think the hope is that it's ready by some point. But we just need to follow up with them and make sure.
Yeah, otherwise, it'll be like, did y'all say something? What problem?
Away in the hill. Is it cool to sit in the hill?
Please do.
Jamie C.
I don't know, if you guys can play. I brought Jamie to my sorority's dinner tonight, and she was just as shook as you. about-
Yeah. Whoa.
She's like, what?
Like, you know, okay, is this too up close or is it not?
That's cute.
Okay.
But y'all are open. Isn't that a big step?
We're open in the sense that he can fuck other people and I can fuck other people, but we're like monogamously in a relationship.
I see.
So we're good. He wants to take these photos. I asked him if he post it anymore.
See?
Good question though. Looking out from you.
I'm trying. Okay. Hello. Hey, sorry, yeah, I was just looking for the HDMI cord, but I found it, so I just hung up. Okay, thanks. Bye. Minutes ago, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, if you respond quickly, then you should respond, send them quickly.
Hi, are you boxing for Jim?
No, I'm just.
Sit here.
Social media.
How do you follow me on Instagram?
I know,
Are
I
you
noticed
serious?
that, I noticed that.
Or was it follow across the team? I just really like. Very far off.
Like, we've been in circles for like 3 years now.
Yeah.
It's just-
I don't know if I feel like that. I don't know about you. Are you ready? I wouldn't mind doing it.
Well, I didn't know, but.
Hey.
Are you sitting here too? Are you Thompson? No, I just said I'm getting.
What's the destination drive that's on here?
Oh, we need to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
About that. Do you need donations?
Yes.
I'm like
out of
No?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're not you just have opportunity.
I really don't know.
Because we were
Everything.
hijinks for like one.
Yeah, good enough. I'm trying to think. What's over the 5? It's exactly.
No, that's why I just tell it at 4 a.m.
Yeah. So
It was just late, I was supposed to be there at midnight, so I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, but I will make it there, like, it'll be late, so like, I'm gonna be there, like, 4 a.m. I'm like, are you still up? Partying, girl? Oh, the typical suspects.
When you're so busy, and also
I
like,
am.
also just like, I don't know, do I really want to do this? It's like, it's really.
Did you see,
You know, because they're asking like, oh, like.
his article in the Westwood Paper? Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it's just like.
Kids. We don't say names without a trigger warning.
Yeah, I don't know if these are because the problem I'm looking at is not like, so it doesn't require research pieces. Like, another one is like, it requires a capstone. It's like sort of research, you know? I was gonna other girls, I also require research.
Let's try the resolution. And Sarah will be like,
Your insurance are.
No, yeah, I got, I just,
I guess insurance are so innocent.
yeah, you know.
What?
It's like, you know.
Just quotes, yeah.
I call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone had a great day today. Brian, he's already off the should be killing it. Great. Okay, so did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes or do we want to table that until next week? Because we never did send that yesterday. Table it? Sure, no worries. So we will vote on both tonight's minutes and last week's minutes next week. So please copy and paste your officer report for next week. Cool? Great. Do we have any amendments to the agenda for tonight?
I would like to add a discussion item, call it LGBTQ allyship from admin. Yeah.
Allyship from administration, great. Any other amendments? Okay, so to review, the only amendment for tonight is Jamie is adding a discussion item entitled LGBTQ plus allyship from the administration. Last call for amendments. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Bella, is there a second? Aisha? Oh, no, I don't think it's a door. All right, we will move into a local roll call vote, beginning with IBD.
Yes.
What are you doing?
General 1,
Yes.
General 2,
Yes.
General 3,
Yes.
CSC, CAP, FAP,
Yes.
FSC, SBC, TSR.
Yes.
Okay, 5. 11 to 0, the motion passes and the agenda is approved as amended. All right, we will now move into public comment. Who Ooh, awesome. So as a reminder, there will be 3 rounds of public comment. The first round is no audio, no video. The second round is audio without video. And the third round is both audio and video. Do you have a preference?
Audio.
Okay, so since Nico's the only one here, we're just gonna move right into round 3 with audio and video on. With Nico, whenever you're ready. As a reminder, everyone in public comment has 2 minutes to speak. I will give you a 30-second warning, a 10-second warning, and then call time. And you are a member of the International Students Association, so I don't do that. And again, just strong rules and community guidelines that we have are just challenge ideas, not individuals, to use gender inclusive language, and to speak respectfully to all members. Any other community guidelines? No? Great, all right, whenever you're ready, go for it.
So hi everyone, my name is Nico. I'm the chapter chair for Calvert students here at UCLA. We've come and given a couple updates. We're gonna try and do a bit better about the next quarter. We'll be here every week, but just to give you a reminder of who we are. So Calvert, we're a statewide student-run and student-funded organization that's on campuses across the state. We're working to empower students to make changes on issues like the environment, on college affordability, civic engagement, and public health and safety. And I wanted to just give you some updates on our recent events that we're really excited about. So recently we actually held a press conference on campus with our Chief Sustainability Officer, Marie Katz, called No Bees, No Thanksgiving, which was part of our lead campaign across California right now, which is working to save the bees and ban a class of pesticides called neonics, which are incredibly harmful. We want to save the bees because we know it, they have a dramatic impact on our environment, but also on our food. Bees pollinate up to 70% of our crops, and they pollinate a lot of foods that go into our Thanksgiving dinners. So before Thanksgiving, we wanted to highlight exactly what the holiday would look like, what our dinners would look like without bees. And so we held a press conference out in front of Berghoff. We had a reporter come, the Daily Bruin came and took photos as well. And it was incredibly successful, just showing off how important bees are to our ecosystem, to our food supply. So some other recent events we've done is for our textbooks campaign, which is working to stop the use of access codes in our classes. Access codes, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, those $50 to $150 codes that you're forced to buy in order to access your homework, in order to access your textbook. And in a lot of cases, this is imposing like a huge financial burden on students who normally rely on getting books used or at the library or borrowing from friends. And being forced to buy those codes, it imposes a lot of burden on them. And so we're trying to get professors to stop the use of access codes. So we got student leaders to sign on and support on Burden Walk. And then we also went around to faculty and got individual faculty members to sign on and support as well. So we're going to be continuing that work throughout the rest of the quarter, continuing our work to save the bees next quarter. Can't wait to continue to give you all updates on all the work. Thank you.
And seeing as there's no more public comment, we will end public comment at 7:07 p.m. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is an appointment. One of my final appointments to the Student Conduct Committee. As a reminder, we've already appointed Karen Fung to the Student Conduct Committee. This will be the second seat of 3. This is a consent item, meaning that it required ARC paper review, but not a formal hearing. And if there's not any opposition, we will be taking a vote without a formal appointment hearing tonight. So I will go ahead and read the position description of the Student Conduct Committee, and then I will move into ARC's recommendations. Okay. So, Student Conduct Committee, there are 3 positions that are open, and it's not stipended. It provides hearings for all cases referred to it under the Student Conduct Code, and it meets when there is a case to be heard, including summer and breaks. Any questions about the position itself? Yeah?
Sure, so Dr. Bell can definitely speak more to this than I can, but my understanding is that if there's a matter against a particular member of the student body, whether it's academic, whether it's more specifically conduct related, it would go in front of the committee, which is comprised of student representatives, faculty representatives, administrative representatives. I'm sure Dr. Bell can provide some more insight, but.
Sure. When a student is accused of a violation of the student conduct code that is not related to Title I, and responds that they don't believe they violated the code, but there is not enough information to prove that they didn't, then they're entitled to a formal hearing in front of the Student Conduct Committee, where the university has the burden of proving that there was a violation. The student has the opportunity to demonstrate why they believe there wasn't. And the members of the committee, from the large pool of committee members, 3 are selected. Ideally, one of those 3 is the student, who will hear all of the information and reach the conclusion about whether they believe that there was a violation or not. The committee hears primarily academic matters, but it does include behavioral things. It just does not include sexual violence.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Cohen, for that insight. All right, so we will go ahead and move into Kevin's vote specifically, and we'll begin with ARC's recommendations.
Yeah, so I have 2. Jessica and I are both yeses. I should read that.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm a yes, just looking at his experience at past college. He's a transfer student. He did really well there. He was involved in student government, got really good grades, seems like a very, a person who would be well fit to sit on this committee and to be somebody who reviews other students. And if they potentially violated code at UCLA. So that's why I voted yes. His time on the Senate seemed really impressive. Lots of different distinguished positions, so yeah.
Jessica or Aisha, anything to add?
Same with Robert, I think Kevin's experience, especially at Federal College and with ICC, really will lend like a huge hand in this position. And I think also him being a transfer and getting involved. Thank you, Claire, for looking out for that. And yeah.
Thank you, Jessica. Aisha?
I think similar to what everyone said, but then also like just having experience like serving in student government, community college like before, and kind of like talking about like his own experience academically and like otherwise as well, to kind of like, you know, show his interest into like a family. Can I just, I think that was why.
Great. Thank you, ARC. Any questions or comments regarding ARC's deliberations? No? If not, we will move into a consent item vote if that's all right. You have to formally make a motion. Yeah, we do. I don't think we do actually.
You can say it all.
Okay, here, thanks, sorry, I'm really tired. Okay, is there any opposition to Kevin Beagle's appointment to the Student Conduct Committee? Great, his appointment passes by consent, thank you all very much, we'll let him know. He wanted to attend tonight, but he unfortunately has meningitis or something really nasty, so, yeah, sounds really bad. All right, so we will now move into officer member reports. I will start mine really quick, really just a quick appointments update. So that was the second to last appointment. The last one is the final position of the Student Conduct Committee, which I will have for you next week, meaning that hopefully I will have all my appointments done by the end of the fall quarter, which is very exciting. From there, we're going to start working on updating and cleaning up and clarifying the bylaws, specifically for presidential appointments, but hopefully for all USAC appointments as well. So the confusion moving forward isn't as much of a problem because I know there's a lot of outdated information there. So I'm looking forward to cleaning that up, and thank you to those of you who have been helping in that effort. And that's really it for me. So we'll move into IPB.
Hello. Mine is a little bit long. So I'm just going to go over some of the things that I said last week, because I talked really quickly last week, so I was leaving. Andy Cofino, who's the director of the LGBT Center, who entered in this year after Raja left, really wants to get to know USAC and student government and wants to meet with us. So one of my directors, Sarah Erkenreich, who works at VRC, is trying to coordinate that. he wants to come in sometime in the beginning of December. So I basically laid out the options of next week or finals week. I'm not going to be here finals week. If that doesn't work in early winter quarter, maybe we can schedule something. But I think this would be a really good idea to get to know Andy. Great guy from what I understand, and really wants to be involved in making sure he understands how the student body works and get to know the student government here. You all might have seen today, our raise applications are open and we're starting to push them a little bit. They're due February 1st. Like I said last meeting, this is an initiative that was started by Gen Rep 2 last year, which I worked on. Aisha also worked on it a little bit, it was in GR2. Kayla helped a lot of effort into this, and the Dean for Students, Maria Glendisi, actually committed to providing $5,000 of scholarship money for 5 years that would go towards this initiative to help students, or to reward students who have helped students through a crisis. So if you know any students, if you want to nominate somebody yourself, you can do that. We'll get about a $75 to $100 deposit on their Bruin card if they're nominated and selected. They also get to attend a really bougie reception that we put on. So highly recommend that you all nominate somebody. If you do, you get to go to the reception and get a nice dinner too. So benefits. With that, there is a need for a bylaw change for this, because since this is an ongoing Usac project, after working with Kayla last year, we've decided that we wanted to put it under IDP. IDP already in its bylaws has a lot of stuff with recognition and rewards, so probably fitting it somewhere there would be good. So be on the lookout for that, specifically CRC and the council. Next thing is off-campus living fair. This is January 20th. Let everybody know about it. If you all want to table there or provide any information, please do so. I was going to say that we're working with a little bit, specifically on a housing bill of rights. It's basically a commitment to being fair and accessible to students. There's also going to be a bylaw change for this, and the bylaw change is going to be this, that if they sign on, which I can talk to you all about the details more, basically they'll get a discount for the future fee of attending the fair. So right now we actually charge people that come a lot of money, about $250 per table. So getting a discount for that if they sign on might be something that they're interested in. We're still trying to work out the details of actually what's in the housing bill of rights, but it's a really good idea that I'm glad FSC brought up too, that we're going to try to work on together. The next thing is one of our special projects in the office is art space on campus. One of my directors, Saloni, is working with ResLife's Makerspace to provide some space for art supplies and tools. There really isn't a place on campus right now where students can just drop off stuff. So we're doing a test run basis 1 quarter. So if you know anybody that's interested in potentially dropping off or storing their art supplies somewhere that they can't store in a room or whatnot, this might be a place they could work out. Another special project is getting really a full comprehensive document of a variety of resources on campus that one of my directors, Anna Feller, is working on. She's trying to get something together with that. She's basically been sending around a survey where students just add things that they didn't know about when they entered into UCLA that they wish they had known about. So like, for example, the Writing Center and these other resources that exist on campus. So once that's developed, we're going to see how we can use that to really benefit the incoming student body. So be on the lookout for that. Next thing is obviously the redistribution center. Just a few things here is just right now we've been talking to George at SWC about potentially including wheelchairs and crutches in the space. That's a really good idea, and I appreciate you for bringing that up. Hopefully we can get something like that started that we can provide for free to students. There will need to be a bylaw change to institutionalize responsibility to support the student organization. I know that Julia and I have talked about splitting that between FAC and IDP. So I hope that we can get that done really soon to serve as a supporting role organization. Last week, we delivered over a dozen care packages sent up to the emergency response team in the NorCal Campfire. We are going to be asking for $7,000 of surplus money. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. We got $7,000 last year. We didn't spend a dime of it because we weren't ready to spend a dime of it. Now we're ready to spend it. So really hope I get your all's approval for that. We should get your all's approval since we got council's unanimous approval last year. So I really hope that you all will support us getting that money back because it does go to good resources. So three more things. Pride Week is February 11th. I know that some of your all's offices came to the Queer Alliance meeting today. They're really appreciative of us supporting them and this initiative. IDP's involvement is mainly going to work with at Queer Prom. We're going to be giving out suits and dresses and other professional attire for students who might not have access to those. Last weekend's Campus Safety Alliance meeting is Thursday at 6 p.m. in the Magnolia. I know OP, AAC, SWC, FAC are all entities that are supposed to sit on that and have been sitting on that, so please show up if you can. And it's a different time this time, so hopefully if it's more accessible for some of you all to attend, that'd be dope. Finally, the t-shirt design contest, voting ends November 30th, so really quickly. You all should vote. You probably have friends. We had a record number of applicants for the t-shirt design contest this year. We publicized the hell out of it. So please vote because these are the shirts that are sold in the UCLA store. And the person who wins gets a lot of money. So yeah, vote for that online November 30th. It's on the IDP Facebook page. That's it from me. They get 1,000. It's sweet. Cool.
Thank you. Amy.
All right. So today and yesterday, I had meetings with, so yesterday I was in Oakland having a meeting with UC Path assistant heads, so Mark Sionga and Dan Ritchie. Today I had a meeting with UC Path, UCLA directors. Got a lot into the heart of what's going on. So one of the biggest reasons that from what I'm seeing as to why our numbers have looked so different from their numbers as far as success and how many people are getting paid is their way for tracking issues was that if you report or like, let's say you go to your boss and like they say that there's an issue or like HR says that there's an issue, they would open a ticket, which would say that like, okay, an issue has been reported. And then, you know, they'd work on solving it, send you an email, and then you have 4 days to respond to this email and say, my issue has not been resolved, and if you do not respond, they close the ticket. So it's under this assumption that all of these cases have been solved because people aren't like saying they're not being, right? And so one of the reasons this is an issue is departments are telling students to go to the UC Path system if they're having issues. UC Path cannot change any of your information. If you are having a payroll issue, the UC Path Center at Riverside cannot help you. I'm sure if you call them, they'll have probably experienced that. If you are having input issues, like let's say your pay was inputted wrong or your personal information was inputted wrong, that is on your employer and like whoever was inputting that information. And so what you can do, and what is a unique thing at UCLA is there's something called CREW. It is the central resource unit for UC Path. If you want to go in person, it's at the Wilshire Center on the 6th floor. You can also, there's a link at the top of the UC Path website that can get you to it, or I can also just send you the link directly. But these are liaisons who will like basically be your caseworker with the issue. So if you know anyone that's having a problem with pay, send them to CREW, not to the UC Path Center, send them to CREW. And they will work directly to make sure that we're not having this issue where like it's passive resolution, right? And so, so that's the big one from UCLA. Also, resources that we have, we do actually have pay cards at UCLA, so if you're not getting your paycheck, go to CREW and they can work on getting you essentially kind of like a credit card. And then also there's an emergency loan service through UCLA. That's a little bit of a smaller amount of money. I think the max is around 300, but that's also an option. System-wide commitments that we got. So one, we're gonna have town halls at each campus from the people that are at the system-wide UC Path Center at all the campuses that have had a rollout. Two, they're reworking the system. So that way, like I said, you have to confirm that your issue's been resolved rather than assuming. Three, they're going to be working with the campuses and then campuses working with departments to have report positive communication package, because right now there's a lot of people who don't feel safe reporting that they're having an issue because they might get in trouble like with their employer, or they don't want to get the department in trouble, et cetera, and they don't feel comfortable like taking it on themselves. So making sure that we're encouraging people to actually say we have an issue. We arranged for the local UC Path people at each campus to have a roundtable with students there, like we had this morning. And also encouraging campuses to expand emergency services because it varies per campus. So that's that. I could go on forever about UC Path. So if you continue to have any like questions, like let me know, or if you have someone who like needs help, like I can connect them with you. Also, if you hear of things that are persisting, let me know, like with it, so especially if you're like in AAP or anything that you see there's multiple people having problems with, I can go directly to UCAP and want you to tell them that that problem is happening. So for example, I heard for the PLS in athletics peer learning, they're getting their paychecks tomorrow, but most of their information is wrong, like most of their pay rates are wrong. So if you know anything about that, let me know. Two, I also managed to kill two birds with one stone when I was in Oakland, met with UCOP about voter registration. They're getting me set up with the Secretary of State to talk about getting conditional voter reg on any campus. Also going to start working with, I'm scheduling call with Berkeley students to expand pre-populated voter registration there. UCOP committed to having that at every campus by 2020. Ours was approved like 3 days before the voter registration deadline, and it takes 2 weeks to test. So that's why we did not have that, ended up sitting in the Secretary of State's office for like forever and a half. But we'll have that for 2020, it's already set up. Continuing our in-district lobby meetings, we had a fundraiser on Vermont today for Jaime Lopez, who is the father of a UCLA student who's at risk of being deported. Today we raised $300. We have a lot more hours signed up tomorrow than we do today, so hopefully we can maybe get it to like 800. We're really pushing maybe 1,000 in 2 days. That would be dope. Come by, tell your office to come by. If you want to help out, let me know. I can send you the script we're using, get you signed up. All the help that we can get will go miles. Last, and this is what my discussion item is about. So there's a preacher on campus today again. My Right to Access campaign had made this little display that is like, there's like 600 LGBTQ elected officials. We call it the big gay legislative agenda, and we prop it out, we put a pride flag. And then we got told by someone in Seoul that we had to take it down. And it was like this whole thing where they like brought a truck, and like we were like, there was like a sign truck thing that was like outside, making us take the display down, even though it was like a free speech response to this hateful speech that was happening. And so I was just really upset about that one. But then also, in wholesome queer news, EVP is working on Pride Week. So our involvement is, one of the things we want to do is like where the banner is have a string of different pride flags. So like the Bi flag and the kind of the rainbow flag and trans flag, etc. Have that displayed through the week, and then we're going to do a photo and video campaign. So if you have ideas for that, that is one update.
So, thank you, Jamie. Jenna? Oh yeah, go for it.
Whatever happened with the piano bed?
Good question.
Alright.
That's happening, y'all, and not even on my own thing. So the piano guy is set to launch in 2 weeks. So the piano has already been secured. He got the funds from some other place. I don't even know where he got them from. Okay, so
I'm not sure.
IDP's only supporting him, as we do with all other organizations, is we're providing space for him to host his little event opening. So that's what my platform 2 does. So basically, we're just co-hosting an event to open up the piano on Google Walk. I think it's December, I want to say 11th. I'm not certain. It's coming up though. It's in the beginning of September, or December, sorry. Yeah, so I think everything's still happening with that.
Melissa, did you have something?
Oh, I was just, like the piano guy, we were talking to him, he got it like delayed again to the beginning.
Oh,
Like,
I didn't know
his
that.
pianos are set up now, apparently, it's so good for him.
So I think the other issue with Seoul wasn't getting back quickly about the space, yeah.
Jessica, did you want to know what UCAP?
Oh, yeah, I'm just wondering, so, do you have like any definitive date on when the money, because I think like I talked to my HR and I talked to like UCAP and it's always like we're working on it. Do you have like any definitive, that's a long time.
Yeah, so there's that, we were trying so hard to get that out of them today, and the problem is it's like multi-tiered, and a lot of it is that the departments were just not well trained, and there's a lot of apathy coming from them, and not understanding like what their role is. to fix their end of payroll. And so we're not really sure what the solution looks like right now for that end. And we're working on brainstorming that. The thing is when we were asking them, it was the same thing, like, we're working on it. And so, the big thing is go to Crew, and they have resources that they can give you. And they will be able to work directly with you, rather than sending you on this goose chase that we've all been in, because that's exactly what it's done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, right, general fund.
So December 1st, this Saturday, we have our South Asian picnic at Sunset Works. It's kind of like a de-stress event where we have like Indian Student Union, the Bengali Student Association, PS Pakistan Student Association, Indians at UCLA, and our office. So we have a bunch of games and we have a lot of food. So we have samosas and pizzas and a bunch of other stuff. So if you want to like just come by, get some food, play some games, we're gonna have like a bunch of like South Asian centered games. We're gonna have cricket, but then also like a bunch of board games and things along those lines. So it's gonna be super fun. Then we have the survey out for International Student Mental Health Services. I think the Absalom where the National Center sent out established this committee where they promised to kind of talk about international mental health resources, and it was called IS Wellness, ISWell. But we were under the impression the committee was gonna meet every month or something. But it meets once a quarter, and that really doesn't help us in any way because they meet and they talk about stuff, but then they don't meet until the next quarter. So we have no idea of what's going on and what other resources are being implemented. And right now the student support program, which is basically this application that caters to international mental health resources. They have been trying to get people's responses about how much it has helped, but at this point no action has been done, which is why we're doing our own survey, which we're going to present to them and ask Ashley to maybe do a bit more than they're already doing. And I think that we've been in contact with them in terms of having their own on-site counselor at the National Center or somewhere on campus, which could which could have a preferential thing for international students to come and speak and stuff like that. Then I also want to start working on the international student representative bylaws and maybe close with CRC. So if anyone's interested working specifically on that, please let me know, because I think that maybe winter break would be a good time to have start just set up a Google Docs, start looking at what are the things you want to see on there, especially looking at student representative and just how that was set up. I know that there's a structure that already exists, but I think we should definitely get to that by winter quarter, because that's when we need to start thinking of what they even in terms of candidates wanting to run for election and things along those lines. And maybe if you have that set by start of winter, that'd be great. So in the coming weeks, just having a discussion item to kind of maybe start talking about it. So if you want to be part of people figuring out where that's going, let me know. So Ashraf and a bunch of other folks from our office are going to the UCS committee to talk a bit more about international students. And there was a proposed increase in international student fee at Berkeley, and we were under the impression that might also happen in UCLA. That didn't go through. And then Ashraf wanted a bit more representation, so we asked the international ambassadors that work with DashU, which are basically they have an ambassador from most of the countries. So we're taking a bunch of those ambassadors there to kind of talk about how a change in tuition adversely impacts and how currency exchange rate impact international, even if it's let's say a 10% increase, how that technically could be a 50% increase for someone whose currency rates are on an imbalance. So we're doing that. I think we're going to Riverside on Sunday. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you know how this international student math thing works?
Yeah, I was in a master.
I'll ask you later.
Yeah. All right. And then we are so there was this thing I think around 3 years ago where there would be a night market at UCLA at Road Plaza. And that would help a lot of cultural organizations a lot because they would be able to fundraise. But because I don't know if y'all know based off of food permits, you aren't allowed to sell a bunch of stuff on Roadblock. It can only be backed stuff. So a lot of organizations sell stuff like samosas, or things along those lines, which recently have been thrown by like, like literally thrown into the garbage by a lot of like, by the food security checks. I don't know what who those people are. It happened with Bengali Student Association, it happened with Pakistani Student Association because they didn't have a permit. And they said that either they were, so I mean, first throwing food is wrong. I mean, there could be so many people who would benefit from that. So just like I'm like talking to these organizations, like looking at like other fundraising opportunities because cultural organizations on this campus do not get enough funding for their cultural programming. So we're trying to bring back night market for next quarter, which is where like we're going to work with each of the organizations to make sure we obtain these permits for them, so that they can, this would be an event like they can sell like, they can do henna, sell like food and like all of these things that just like cultural stuff that are on Roadblock. And then maybe like work closely with Soul to kind of see how we can acquire food permits for like for these organizations, because otherwise the process that exists right now is that you have to do it 1 month in advance. And like having been a part of cultural organization, I think oftentimes like you have a banquet in 2 weeks, didn't get enough contingency, what do you do? Like things like it's like a lot of like last minute things because like a lot of there's no retroactive funding resources at UCLA, so it gets really hard for these organizations. So they kind of like, I mean, there have been times where students have paid out of their pocket, like never received the money back. So kind of like looking at like what are other ways for these orgs to like fundraise on campus if let's say they don't get enough funding from like all these resources that exist.
So Saul, because I was in the room where when they talk about necessary agricultural goals to get the other way, oftentimes I'm not saying in this instance, they've told several times by the Soul advisor that the reason why you don't come in is because Soul and like the school has rules about like people not selling the same type of food, like no more than 2 people can sell the same type of food, and like they can't have dairy, they can't have this, they can't have that, and that's why they do it away. It's all the first line of action, it's wrong, but they like either shut down or if we come in and do it, so they never throw away food as a first as well. It's still wrong, obviously a waste of money and a waste of time.
I am pretty sure that they like the orgs, and I know that like traditionally, I know a lot of people might have seen people selling samosas on Roadblock like a lot of times, and in the past like 3 weeks, samosas have been thrown away like 3 times at least by 3 different organizations. So I mean, I wasn't there to eat any of them, so I don't know exactly what happened, but just like we're trying to work with a bunch of those organizations, and if like anyone like I don't know FSC or like IPP or like whoever like feels that they're more like appropriately attached to this issue, maybe like want to work with these organizations to see like what like either in terms of permits or like what are the ways they can explore just like this like last minute fundraising kind of thing.
And definitely talk to Soul, because every Soul advisor gets notified when that happens to their.
Okay, got it, thanks. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great, thank you. Part 2. Okay, so, bike lanes, we are gonna, go to the new neighborhood council's meeting next week, Wednesday, at 7 o'clock. Y'all are, invited. This is gonna be their, kind of like safety and transportation, like subcommittee that is gonna converge and talk about, not only bike lanes, but like the new metro, stop that's gonna be built and how UCLA can better like cater to the publicity of that. They definitely need Usac's kind of platform to promote these more like eco-friendly and cost-efficient modes of transportation. So definitely try to come out next week, Wednesday at 7. The location is to be announced, but I'll let y'all know. My food platform, like I said, sorority house moms don't really understand that people need food, so I don't know. I think I'm gonna go about it with like a petitioning campaign. Like there just needs to be like more like internal awareness on their part for us to be able to like make some progress. But as Claire kind of said with the IFC stuff last week, people are kind of checked out. All of the Greek life kind of like internal leadership is being rolled out at the end of this quarter, and a whole new executive team is being put in winter for each house. So we hope to keep having close allies with them just to get the ball moving on food redistribution. Same kind of goes for my clothing, like the Good Clothes Good People alliance with them. We made a lot of like progress with the bin that we do have in one of the sororities, but we need to keep spreading, and I think that that'll come with, new leadership, which I'm looking forward to. And then textbooks, Jamie and I had a really productive meeting today talking about, the potential of lobbying the academic senate for kind of like working towards, rolling out, like phasing out access codes in collaboration with what CalPERC is trying to do, and as well, kind of Gen 2's initiative of having transparent, text code prices within the enrollment descriptions. So lots of exciting things to look forward to.
Great, thank you. Jennifer 30.
Okay, so the office is still petitioning to add the National Suicide Hotline number and phone cards. We have about 220 signatures already, and we're trying to push for 400 by the end of this week. And then tomorrow we have the Get Educated on Basic Needs Everyone Walk to spread awareness about issues students are facing, meeting their basic needs. We're gonna have free data reads cookies for that event, so. And then we're also holding the Migrant Care Drive. We're working closely with a nonprofit organization called SetShot to deliver the funds and donations. We're also taking Venmo donations, and so far, in less than 1 day, we've raised over $139. And then lastly, today I attended the first meeting for UCLA's immigration policy team with Abel Valenzuela, the Florence Center Director, undocumented student program director, and other administrators to discuss how we can support undocumented students, considering the fact that documented ends next week.
Awesome. Well, all right, that.
So update on the multi-purpose room conversion at the John Wooden Center. They're gonna be closing, for construction on December 3rd. And they're hoping to have it open by sometime in spring. Just to like refresh y'all's memory, that space is gonna be used by student groups, whether that be for dance practice or prayer experience and things like that.
Thank you. FSC.
So we have, a meeting with our sole advisor and with the Spark campaign people this Thursday to talk about setting up a Spark campaign. Really proud of our team because we've been working really hard to compile, potential donor lists. Our goal is to have 1,000 potential donors compiled at a time. We meet with our sole advisor right now at 6:14. And we want to come as prepared as possible so that, they can help launch our campaign. Well, so we are also trying to get in contact with JCPenney, to set up another student event with them, spring quarter, just so that, for the students who don't receive a scholarship to find professional attire, they have this opportunity to, go to JCPenney and get professional attire at a discounted price. But we're kind of struggling to get a hold of JCPenney because, they don't pick up their phone, but, so I called corporate and, they said they were gonna message the manager, to pick up the phone and but we'll see. But yeah, so that's gonna happen this Thursday, meeting with our sole advisor. On Friday, we have a meeting with the Orange Park Office Director, Chris Ramos, to talk about why the Orange Park basic fee is so steep and how we can take appropriate steps to perhaps not fixing it, but making it more accessible for students. And we're actually going to shout out David Brewer. We're going to publish an op-ed written by one of our team members, kind of just to lay out the data that we can follow our survey before our meeting on Friday, so that we can go in and say, hey, it's already published, So anyhow, so that's going to be this Friday. In terms of daily affordability, we actually just finalized the additional iClicker order that we're going to place with the ACCA. Shout out to ACCA for giving us like a $3 discount for iClicker. That was really cool. And basically what we're hoping to do is, so we got $6,500 from FWP. We're looking to use half of that money to expand the iClicker library for Winter Quarter. We're going to see what the trend is like for, the number of students who use the iClickers. And then depending on that, we're going to either expand the Idaho Library again in the student quarter, or we at that point will make the choice to either start another rural library. So like with something else, like calculators or something else that students might need. So that's coming up. We also have a lab coat drive that will be starting next week. So actually, I was going to ask Robert or anybody else who has a bin, if you could let us borrow a bin that will be outside of like our office so that folks can come and drop off the lab coats there. That would be much appreciated because we don't have them. So yeah. In terms of the campus policy, so the travel study fee kind of like fell through just because the Office of International Education said that we can't write a policy to make these fees non-refundable, and we asked multiple times and had like multiple meetings, and they just don't seem willing. So we're going to move away from that, and instead we're going to try to work with UCLA Housing to see how we can make the housing rates for incoming students, the housing deposits that they have to make more accessible, since it can be a lot for students who are just coming to UCLA to pay for those housing installments. In addition to also paying, say, for orientation and buying expenses that they will be in for the year. So we're gonna try to work with them for that. And in terms of parking advocacy, we're trying to find more sources of funding to expand our scholarship for transportation. Additionally, we're also trying to move away from saying that it's parking transportation, parking scholarship. We want to be more inclusive of the number of students that like rely on public transportation to get to UCLA. So with that being said, we're looking to provide more scholarships for transportation bus passes in addition to the parking scholarships that we already have. That's all.
Wait, you know that the Spark team gives you a list of like potential donors already?
Do she hasn't, like, she told us, like, to find stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, so, yeah, we also had a meeting with, like, sorry, it must be alumni center, but we had a meeting with the alumni center, they were kind of like, they were very discouraging in that, like, I don't know, they seemed kind of out of touch, they were like, you gotta do this and that, and like, ask your family, it's like, yo, like, my family, you can't, you know, so, yeah. So it's like, so, yeah, so hopefully Spark provides some stuff, but we're trying to compile some stuff ourselves so that like, we get the ball rolling.
With the lab coats, is it a temporary thing as of now?
For what?
Like maybe you're just shooting lab coats for borrowing?
Yes, yeah. So, we just do the lab coats at the start of every quarter, but we're doing a lab coat drive, which, I think I forgot when the last one that was done, but we're trying to expand because we have leftover white lab coats because the students and the professors prefer blue lab coats. So we're trying to increase the number of blue lab coats that we have because those are fire resistant. So yeah, and like the department currently requires those. So yeah, we're trying to increase those by 100.
I mean, I don't know if this is something that you want to do, but like what Georgia SWC does is they basically have a part in the space that says like, this is SWC, blah, blah, blah. If you wanted to offer them there permanently, have a sign that says this is an FSC initiative or something.
Sure.
Obviously, that's something that you want to consider.
Yeah. Thank you for the
Can I make CEC's officer member?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. She has two things she wants to announce. So 2 events, Anna and the Apocalypse is on Thursday in James Bridges Theater, and also Spider-Man is on Sunday in James Bridges Theater as well.
Cool, thanks, George. I was about to ask him. All right, Tia.
I just have 2 updates. The first one is we are continuing on our project with hopefully transforming orientation for transfer. So it was lucky that Heather got me another appointment with Roxanne, surprisingly. And then I also have another appointment with College Academic Counseling because we work with the Transfer Leadership Coalition and we're gonna try to get a full-time like college academic counselor in the transfer. And so that we're working on. And then the final thing is we still have our ID drive this Friday. I'll send out a thing in GroupMe I will take people, I'll drop them off anywhere, and if you are willing to come on Friday and help volunteer, I'll put something on the meeting, and then I will take you, I'll pick you up, whatever you need, the viewers really appreciate it.
Also, about that, so we've been collecting donations from the center, we haven't been separating them, so just as donations come, we take them. If you want to go and pick up a portion of them,
Yeah.
Jimmy already knows about that, so you can literally just walk in and take them
Okay,
if you want. So we just haven't been like, separating them for this and that. So-
no worries,
Okay.
oh, thank you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. SVC.
Cool, so I kind of have a lot since I wasn't here last week, so it's SWC committee updates and then my updates and SWC. So firstly, we have SWC Active Minds, BCC and Res Life. They're doing a self-care workshop for the body and the mind right now until 9 p.m. And then super exciting, SWC Brew Necessities has their quarterly oral health fair tomorrow in Jeanette Plaza Room. So what's gonna be there is free toothpaste, free toothbrushes, and then provided by the UCLA School of Dentistry, it's free dental screenings, fluoride varnishes, and oral hygiene information. So that's super cool. So if any of you need to do your checkup or whatever, so go through tomorrow, Jeanette. It's kind of unfortunate that we don't have dental screening or whatever on campus, so it's really, it's nice that the UCLA School of Dentistry sometimes does partnerships with free necessities and oral health fairs. So yeah, take advantage of that if you need to. And then Sexperts is having World AIDS Day on Friday with Pediatric AIDS Coalition. That's going to be from 10:30 to 1:30 this Friday. And then also the Green Lab Station will be there if you want to go through. So then my updates specifically, basically I'll touch on what Robert was talking about earlier in his update. I have been working really hard to provide crutches and wheelchairs in space somewhere on campus, basically it's one of my platforms. I spoke with CAE and Ash Center like way before I even got elected, just like about if that resource is even a thing somewhere, some way, somehow, for free, for UC ship members, whatever. And there really wasn't much. So CAE does a little bit of that. They provide wheelchairs for students, but they kind of strayed away from that and they kind of focus more about accessibility to the classroom rather than just like mobile physical accessibility around campus. And then Ash Center doesn't do that for free for UC ship, or for free without UC ship. So you can't really get crutches if you don't have these resources. So that's what I'm trying to do. I spoke with Ash and with CAE. They both think it's a great idea. They both kind of like gave me sort of permission to move on forward with this without kind of like stepping on Ash's toes or CAE's toes. I met with Adrian Martinez of the Ash Center, and he really, really likes the idea. He even thought that they could provide and fund a few crutches and like 1 or 2 wheelchairs. So basically what we're thinking of is having 2 adult and 2 young adult wheel crutches, so different sizes, and then 1 or 2 wheelchairs depending on like the demand. They said that crutches is like in high frequent demand for the Ash Center specifically, but wheelchairs not so much. Wheelchairs usually for like campus tours, like students with older family members, they want to come in and have like, say their grandma, grandpa, whatever, older family member just use a wheelchair around campus. So like normally they're able-bodied, but like when you're doing a tour around UCLA, it's kind of tough. But so we really haven't discussed whether or not we're gonna have that resource available to just students or students with family members. So that's in discussion as well. So that's pretty much all I have for that. I talked to Robert and we might have, so they said they love the idea, but they don't have the space. So he said Ash might, be able to partner up with us and like come up with protocol like on like cleaning them, how to rent them out, stuff like that. Because there are liability issues to do with that. So do you have anything?
Well, I was just gonna ask you, like, just to, because like I'm still, I guess, just pretty shocked by this. So a student who's on UC SHIP, there's like basically no way they can get free crutches or a wheelchair.
Students with UC SHIP, they can't, I think they can get like a wheelchair. In Ash, they have one on each floor.
So the issue is with non-UC SHIP?
The main issue is with non-UC SHIP.
Okay.
I believe even crutches, you have to purchase them.
That's crazy.
I think even UC SHIP. The main thing that he was saying, he said a lot of students have to purchase crutches, and then they just give them to Ash when they're done with them, because it's like, I don't want to keep them, I'm done with them. And then when Ash sometimes gets someone that comes in, they're like, hey, I need crutches, and they're like, okay, here, we have these random favorite crutches that someone left. So it's not really organized, and there hasn't really been an organization on campus to like really have like an organized protocol and give them out for free, renting out for students with no cost, no whatever. So
That's shocking.
he said the demand was pretty high. He said he talked to the exec committee and asked just to like make sure that they're good with funding and everything. And I was like, SWC has plenty of funds for this, like we allocated funds specifically for this, like at the beginning of the year. So it really all depends on what he says in 3 days. So I'll get back to him next week on that. Sorry for being so I just stayed for long. Last thing, I talked to Julia, and there's a possibility that we're partnering with the fact for like a sort of physical accessibility survey. Julia liked the idea. Basically, we might publish some sort of survey results, findings, and send it over to 504 compliance office. But more details will come on that. I'll have to set up a meeting with Julia before I give my information. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. CSC.
Okay, so first thing, I think 2 weeks ago, I said I was gonna go for the nonprofit networking night and just go in community. I did not do that, sorry, I dropped the ball. So that I can send it to y'all, so basically just gauge interest. So every year we have nonprofit networking night, where we have about 30 nonprofit organizations come, and they basically advertise what internships, job positions, and like what kind of jobs will be available to people based on their resume, like they give that kind of information out. So using the interest will gauge whether or not people want more internships or more jobs from this fair, and just generally what kinds of organizations they'd like to see. So it's going to be in late January, so I'll update you on that. I've talked about impacting the cost, but the impact application is out and open. OSC is going to be starting for that next week, and we'll be going through till the middle of winter break. And then the Robert S. Michaels Award, which is basically a scholarship award that's starting in 2006 that allows students who engage in service to be kind of acknowledged for the work that they do. It's a $1,000 award given by Robert S. Michaels. He used to be a commissioner, but not CFC commissioner. And then the Sabi compliment is someone who used to be a commissioner, and it's $250 towards any service organization, be it UCLA affiliation or not. So the application will kind of be coming out for that next week, so feel free to discuss that. Feel free to apply yourselves if you'd like to engage in some sort of feel free to recommend you recognize often if you engage in some sort of recognize, whether what or public sector, so we're trying. Like I said 2 weeks ago, a series of services like a replacement of data service, and we're working on one for winter. So more information to come about that. It's probably going to be in early February, but it's going to be on campus as well, just because we wanted to play around with having events, community services on campus for turnout and like people being able to like access it. And then also we have a new staff position. We have new staff positions, so like on-campus liaison directors, and one of the updates from the one who's working with Center for Community Learning, with the new director Sean, is that they're trying to work with CSC and social organizations on campus like CPO and other like entities to come allow people to be credited like for the service learning, so being able to enroll in classes, so allowing students to design curriculum so that they can take short courses to be able to not only dispense service like information, like what it means to be someone involved in community service, what the role of it is, but also so that people can just get credit for it academically, because trying to empower students to engage in community service and I don't really see it. And then, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And Kat.
I have a couple of updates.
Oh, for AC, yeah, go for
She
it.
said that the undergraduate student initiated education committee is in need of staff members, so if you know any students that are interested in professors, how to apply. It is on the AC's Facebook page right now. They also finished allocating all the money for the travel grant mini fund for this quarter, so all the applications were
What we propose for the travel grant?
Maybe, yeah.
Thanks. Is that it? Okay. Now, Kat.
Okay, I have a lot. So regular Monday and Wednesday we have programming, and then next week we have a week of programming called This Shit Is Hard. And so every day we have a different like de-stress program. So Monday is normal concerts, and then Tuesday we have two. So one is going to be You Need a Break, Smashing Plates with AAC. And then also that evening is going to be kind of art gallery. There's going to be a bunch of tables with different arts and crafts. Like they were going over today, so making I don't know, some Christmas globes, but you put them on a tree. Ornaments. And then something else, but they definitely wanted to like winter. And Wednesday, Word on Wednesday, and they're co-programming with someone. I think it's Active Minds. And then Thursday, we have a movie screening with Bruin Film Society and H24 for Slice, which is a movie with Chance the Rapper. Friday, we have a tiny desk concert inside of our office. Yeah, so it'll be really intimate. Like, make sure you're there early. Because there is a bad song you can see. But it'll also be on our YouTube. So that's us.
Okay. Administrative reps, anything about Rob?
Dean Blandisi is going up to the UC Dean of Students meeting in the near future, so I prepped her with a little bit of the Census 2020 stuff that we could attend downtown. Make sure that she's sharing it with other deans. My sense is that City of LA County are kind of out in front of many folks, and so this is an opportunity to get it on the radar. The idea of following the wonderful work students have done around voter registration, get out the vote. Then Census 2020 is really the next step, because that will impact redistricting, and then the cycle kind of continues. So kind of building on the momentum that students have put out there and kind of continue to build that. And it's not too early to start encouraging administrators and faculty to think about the athletics classes as it relates to service learning, community learning, civic engagement, or short-term courses, and talk about political engagement and change. So, we're a year out before, fall 2019, and then, census will be April.
How early does one need to start talking to different professors, faculty, after 2 7 of the athletics?
It's probably at least 6 months.
Okay.
Could be longer. Center for Community Learning would be a good start, and civic engagement, those are faculty who might be interested in that. Public policy and other kinds of folks as well.
I just really want to talk to people. Charlotte is in there, I feel like straight up.
It's just really exciting kind of time. When you tie it into the redistricting stuff, the political implications are pretty overwhelming.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, we will move into new business. So the first item is contingency programming. Ryan.
Okay. We had 9 applications this week. There were 3 offices that applied, office of president and finance committee. The total required was $16,920.64. The total requested was $7,508.40. Our recommendation was $5,200.
If anyone's curious, my office applied for, we're doing a mini end of the quarter retreat on Thursday, because we didn't really do a formal retreat in any point this quarter. So we are going to South for karaoke after our office meeting. I'm really excited. So, I'm a horrible singer, but it's gonna be fun anyway, so thank you, but I'm really,
5,000.
nice. All right, is there a motion?
I motion to approve the contingency allocation of 5,219 to Usac and non-Usac.
Is there a second? Jay, all right.
Sorry, so 520.
All right, we will move to a roll call beginning with IBP.
Yes.
EVP?
Yep.
Turn one,
Yes.
turn two, turn three,
Yes.
CSC,
Yes.
CAC, PAC,
Yes.
FSC,
Yes.
SVC,
Yes.
CSR.
Yes.
Great, by 11-0, the motion passes and the contingency programming is approved. All right, Bethany, are there any,
Sorry, no, I should have answered that in the beginning.
you're good, don't worry, no worries. So there's no SFS, LCD to delete.
Still open, if anyone.
And lastly, we have the discussion item that Jamie proposed on LGBTQ plus allyship for nutrition. I will let Jamie take it away.
Yeah, so I don't really know exactly what I wanted to like get out of the discussion outside of just like airing my grievance of how things were handled today. So basically, and if I get emotional, it's because I said but so we had made this little display that it's like on some wood boards, and you can tie it to something to help it stand up. And it has pictures of different LGBT reps, just to kind of show that like, oh, there's like a lot of queer people out there that are like supporting and representing you. It's a much bigger number than people usually think of it. And so we made that, and then it happened that the first time we put it out, the preacher was just there. And so we decided to put it like in front of the guy, like left it up for the day. It was great. Like, I can't tell you how many people like came up to me and were like telling me that it was like having that kind of like wholesome, happy thing in front of this person that's usually just making you feel like you should hate yourself was like good. So today, I found out that he had come back, and so I decided to go put that up there. Spent about 10-15 minutes trying to get it like to stand by myself while I was getting yelled at about how I was a sodomite whore who was too ugly to make any money as a prostitute. So yeah. And I was just kind of like, woo, yeah, thanks, bros. I'm like tying this up. And so it sucked to put it up. And then I found out when I was in my office doing homework that someone from Seoul, so my understanding is that it was Pam, had come up and said that we had to take it down. And we were like really confused because we're like, why is this an issue? It's not blocking the walkway at all. Like, people love this. This is like in response to this event. And basically we were told, I wasn't out there, but the person who was talking to her told me that she said, fire marshal said so, and our environmentalist friends don't like it because it was on a tree. I don't know if that was a pun. If it was a pun, it was very inappropriately placed. And so yeah, so I just I don't know I don't know all the rules about signage. It's hard to keep up with that type of stuff, but I don't see it as very different than a lot of those little fold things that are out on Brunock. In fact, mine is way less in the way. And so I just didn't really know what to do about that, because so then I was just gonna be like, screw it, leave it, I don't care. And then I looked out and there was some car that was labeled as it was basically like a banner patrol. Apparently we have a whole car that's designated towards banner control. And so they were out there kind of surrounding the thing, so I decided to take it down because I didn't want all of it to get compensated because we put a lot of work into making that happen. So I just wanted to put that on y'all's radar that happened, and then I don't know if this is something, I don't know if I broke a rule. If I did break a rule, I feel like this is a rule that should be revisited or thought about in a purposeful way, because when people are saying oh yeah, UCLA supports queer folks, and like, we don't think that, we don't want these creatures here, but we have to let them be here. And the first thing is like shutting down a nice, lovely solidarity thing that we put up, like, not really down for that. I probably just won't take it down next time. I might just spend all of my money remaking the thing every time it gets taken. So yeah, so that was that.
I'm gonna speak to what I know in terms of policy, because I used to work at Royal Custom Print, and it's just, my first question is, was it tied on a tree along the river like this way? Like on this side? I don't know.
It was, so if you were walking to class, you would see it.
Okay, so like going up the stairs area?
No.
Okay.
Like on the slope still.
On the slope, okay. Because anything past a certain point is no longer as I.
It's still on Broom Walk, like where you can put things up, because it was literally next to one of the poles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like really dumb, right to say dumb, but there's a lot of really dumb regulations about how bad it's like, where they can be put, they can be put on trees. Like, you have to like request 3 months in advance, it has to be approved by somebody. That the banner police thing, I've heard of them before. They will take it down, but I don't know how the process works, if they have to get notified, probably they have to get notified. But it's a lot of regulation. I don't understand your views, and I want to say, like, this is not necessarily about what, like, was the content. The content obviously and it was like making people on campus feel good about themselves in context, forget it. But I think the issue that I see is like communicating with Soul, and not like saying you're not communicating with Soul, but Soul needs to make these things more evident instead of being like reactive. Not necessarily as an intention, as obviously a lot of student organizations, but maybe the issue, because this will happen and it's happened, but maybe not at this scale. And it's just like the same thing with food, like Soul needs to open up communication channels, not just like to us, and not just like when things go left, or like when they're like, oh, you have to take something down, oh, you have to throw it away. Go ahead. No, it's fine, I'm like rambling, so you might as well.
I was just gonna say, going off what you were saying about the policy, is that I know that with like this area, the slope and the Room Plaza is under Soul's jurisdiction as far as you do have to submit a formal like event request, which, and I've talked about this before, which is like kind of impossible in situations like this. It's like, how are we going to submit a request weeks in advance about something we don't know is going to happen until it happens? I mean, and then the other thing too is like, I think the concern I'm concerned about is that like the like equity of enforcing it, in the sense that like the bins that we painted for Good Close to People, we painted on Broom Walk. We painted literally in Boys Quad, no approval. We just walked out there and did it. Like, and nobody ever stopped us. I saw Soul advisors walk by and be like, hey brother, how's it going? And then like the fact that this happens is like really upsetting, right? Because it seems like what you were saying is that it has to be reported.
I don't know for sure.
Or
like,
if it does, like that sucks, right? Because that means that probably somebody reported you and didn't report us or report whoever, which leads it to be unfair. So I'm just wondering too, it seems like there should be a way to like do these in response to these sort of events in a way that doesn't imply like this long, week-long process of getting approval for something so urgent and I think necessary.
I'm just gonna go ahead.
The policy that governs this, if you want to take a look and that way be able to give them feedback on the sections you're challenged by, is on the Soul website on their policies page, is the UCLA regulations on activities, registered campus organizations, and use of properties. That has the details of the size of signs that can be used, what type of materials, where freestanding devices can be placed. There's some differences between whether someone's holding it or whether you set it up as a signboard or attach it to something. So it's a good place to start. I would encourage you to review that and make recommendations. And the recommendations would best be given to, I would say probably Mike Cohn as the director of Soul, Mink DeLuca, the assistant vice chancellor for Campus Life, and Monroe Gordon, the vice chancellor.
Yeah.
Again, in general, this is like, I'm not trying to like call all I can imagine this, but in like, it's gonna like, this is just so, we just need to talk to someone. In general, we have a lot of issues, there's a lot of student loans, I get it, there's not enough employees, like, let's be real, there's like 1,300 student loans registered, 6 employees and so, and they all have organizations. So the week-long processes thing is hard, but like, I already see the roadblock of there's just not enough staff, and are you about to hire 3 new staff people at like, when you throw around a number like $45,000 a year, like, you know what I mean? See the vision, you know what I mean?
It's,
I'm not trying to like stop it, I think this should proceed, but this is definitely something you wanna express to your supervisor if you haven't. I am my supervisor, I'd like to think she's not acting unintentionally, she might regret what she said, and I'm not gonna apologize on behalf of the girls, but from my experiences with him, it probably was not intended what she said, probably for any that timing, which is inappropriate. But yeah, talk to your soul advisor and then maybe loop them into this process, like what Dr. Nelson said, like going, probably like my clothes and chill. He's on my side.
Yeah, I was gonna go to school today, but I would just start yelling. So I was like, today's not the day.
Great, so I just feel like at this point in our lives, like UCLA has so much bureaucratic like bullshit that they don't even know what they have. Like there's just so much floating around that we don't know the rules, they don't know the rules, who knows the rules? Like that, I know there's no solution to that, but I just feel like that's some bullshit. Because that shit makes everything so hard. We spent like a 15-minute conversation in my office trying to figure out what a form was and where you go to get it, and we're setting like 10,000 circles. So it's like, no one knows why does it exist.
You're not wrong.
I was just gonna say like, and maybe Dr. Geller, I don't know if you have more insight on this, but I mean, do you know how these things are enforced? Because I mean, this is something that came up with the conference obviously too.
Someone is responsible for enforcement.
But I mean, reporting, I guess, or
Anyone walking around campus who takes an issue might choose to report it. It's hard to figure out how a particular thing was reported to them, but when they become aware of violations or potential violations of the campus time, place, and manner policies, they're supposed to go check it out. And if it is in violation of the policy, explain what the policy is and what changes need to be made to come into compliance.
so, sorry, just one more follow-up, is that so the process of being reported is dependent of being notified that you're violating code or whatever is dependent on students or whoever reporting it, right?
Anyone on campus might make a report. Yeah, I mean, anyone on campus might make the report. It could be faculty, staff, student, fire marshal, non-affiliate, it could be anyone. But if Sol receives a report, they'll typically send one of the staff members out to check it out for themselves, not just to assume that there is a violation, and then to explain if there is one, what the policies are and how to come to compliance.
Yeah, I was just not gonna say anything constructive, really, but, like, in my experience, I remember one day I was actually buying samosas from, I forget which student group, but they were very yummy, but as I was buying my samosa, a Sol representative was just walking up from the Word Plaza, and like, they were like, oh yeah, like, you have a permit, and like, no, and like, you gotta move, or whatever, you know, and so we had to move the purchase to another campus. But I don't know, just like to echo some of the sentiments that folks have said, also my own. It just, I understand the policy, right? The policy there to regulate behavior, make sure that people are acting accordingly and all that stuff. But like, how do you look at like a student and say like, oh yeah, like you selling samosas for a cultural night is like such a violation of university policy, like you gotta go, or go as so far as to like toss them. It's just like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing like.
I understand what you're saying. When it comes to the food sales, the challenge there, it is a health and safety issue. And it's the permits are issued, when they're comfortable, there won't be any issues with the safety of the food.
With all the
Which
food
is-
safety
yeah.
training that goes along.
Yeah, so it is, and unfortunately, yes, there's a great need for student organizations to raise money. Food sales are an effective way to do that. But if someone were to get sick because the food wasn't properly sanitized, that would be, I think, far more negatively impactful than being asked to comply with the regulations on that one. I think they're very different, the health code issues that go into the food sales as opposed to the more speech-related issues.
And even with the speech related one, how do you look at it, so like, oh, you trying to empower LGBTQ youth is like, not that saying that that's bad, but like, you're a violation of policy, so we're gonna take this down no matter how well intentioned it was.
And-
Or like, the preacher can be there.
So, well, so the.
Yeah, no, I get that,
The
yeah.
issue isn't the speech and
That's
the
the same,
attempt to
that's-
counter the speech, as much as the signage. And as much as, you know, one might want to say, well, we absolutely support what you're trying to say here, so we're going to let you do it. They have to be viewpoint neutral in enforcing the signage. Otherwise, they're going to face lawsuits when that thing which is not consistent with our campus values, someone's told to take down. If they've decided to pick and choose and say, well, we think that this sign is consistent with campus values, so we're going to ignore the policies, just allow it to stay. But this other thing, if it were flipped and it were the preacher with the hate speech that was trying to put up the sign, and that person were able to say, well, you let this other one stay, and it were in the same place last week, that would be problematic. So there are reasons why, as much as they may firm up inside having to enforce sometimes, they do have to make sure that enforcement is viewpoint neutral. But by all means, you know, take a look, give them feedback on ways you think that the policies could be improved. We're always looking for student feedback.
Are you showing a number?
I think one of the reasons why, and this might just be my opinion, having been a part of, let's say, an org that's been selling samosas for 4 years at this point, and I've been personally selling samosas for 4 years at this point, the reason the reason it's so hard is because these permits are like literally, you need to have an entire month before. I think it's not that like orgs don't want to comply with like, you know, what the policies are, but these policies are just like, there's like so much like red tape, like so much bureaucratic shit around these, like just like it's literally selling samosas on good God. Just like that one thing is that, which is why like a lot of points that we've tried to get permits and like you're trying to figure it out. It's weird because it's the same vendor that's approved for our like, you know, events and stuff, but the same vendors. Like it's very weird because like we're like, hey, you let this vendor, you have these permits and we serve this food at a banquet, but the same thing, if like, you know, it's just like all of these things that just don't make sense, which is why like all of us, like I mean, at least for the South Asian org that I know of, we like at this point we just sell them and hope that no one comes and shows up at this point. Because like, I mean, going through all of that, I don't think any org has like knows 1 month in advance what day or what time or like, you know, like when like someone be able to do it, and like it's literally more than a month. And similar to what like Jay was saying, 2 weeks ago it was like 3 days before our banquet when like our SSP wasn't enough for us to cover the cost or something, and like with SSPs it's weird because UCLA is not great at paying vendors back on time apparently, and like a lot of vendors are like, hey, they didn't pay us for the last 2 things, so we're not going to take your purchase order, like all of these things. And then someone came and they're like, oh, I'm gonna cut, and it wasn't even like you know, warning 1, warning 2. Either you eat it right now because we had 4 samosas left, and I mean, you all split it out. They're like, either you eat it right now, we're gonna just have to throw it. And I was just like, I mean, I can eat a samosa like any part of my day, but like that was what was said to us at that point. So I mean, I don't know. I just think the way things are handled is very inappropriate, and like I know it's weird like tracking from like what Jamie's bringing up, but I think it's just that you talk so much about empathizing with the student and this like solidarity with our, like, you know, it's like all of these things are these big words, and I get that, but at the same time, like if your actions don't show that, then how does it even matter?
Yeah.
things too was that so the thing says Usac office is the external vice president, so they know where to go to like say, like, here's the door you can knock on in your same building, and he's like, here's your thing, here's our policy, but no, it was just like them asking everyone that was around it, like, whose is this, take it down, and then being like, we're not touching that, like, that's not ours, and then suddenly a truck appears, you know, and so it was that. I mean, I've had other problems where, like, same person, I had to move all of Burnsville 2 feet to the left to have amplified sound because I was apparently only halfway on the grass, I had to be all the way on the grass because it just makes such a difference in sound. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on just about the way that I've had issues with various interactions and all that. And I'm glad to know that there's some shared frustrations in that. I mean, I think I've gotten everything that I needed out of this conversation. I'm fine with ending it unless anyone has any.
I'll just say in closing, let's work on revising and looking over those policies and see if we can put together a list of recommendations if any of you or organizations would like to be part of that.
So just to pause into that, don't just do that, you should just ask Solo, this has been done in the past already, and like what are the red tape? They have red tape, we have red tape. Like, Soul's struggling, but it's not because they want to be struggling. I just want to put that out there. Like, a lot of the reasons, like, I completely sympathize with what you said. I know all the answers as to why, for liability purposes, you can't do that. It's not all communicated. Like, again, it's 1,300 cultural laws, not cultural, student organizations, and it's hard, and they're not going to employ more staff. So this half doing things what's been running for like years, and it's half working, so it half stays. So if you're gonna do that, ask. I feel like if anyone wants to do it, ask your Soul advisor first. You can use your own personal time if you like, or if you want, let's try and meet with Soul first. Because I don't want to circumvent them, because they get circumvented in everything, and then they don't know how we come back to something.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna add that I think that, I mean, I understand the need for it to be applied equally, obviously, you know, that's Soul's job is to treat all these student works that they give it equally, and they're like, right, for freedom of speech on campus and everything. I guess just like my curiosity that I'm getting at is that like we're getting back at, and I wrote about this difference between like how students are treated and how people who aren't on campus are treated, and obviously that's because of like the academic code and students. As far as just like out of curiosity, the consequences of like if somebody, because I know Nicole did this last year, and I know that other officers have done this in the past, is like, if we just, I mean, it sounds bad, but it's just like, if JB and I are out there and like refuse to take it down or something, are they like going to suspend us or give us some sort of?
Probably just gonna stop you from doing something for really long, for real, it's also gonna do. They're gonna suspend you.
I know, that's what I'm getting at, is I feel like that.
But like also, this is just like, I'm like sounding like a soul sympathizer, but when you start to like, basically, if you let Soul go to shit, what's the point of Soul? And then you have 1,300 organizations just running.
Well, that's why I'm saying the uniqueness of this, I think, is like very important, because if you let us do it, then what's to say another student board can't do that either, just refuse to comply, right? I think, and maybe that could be a policy thing, it's like looking at when there's a unique situation that calls for extenuating circumstances. Yeah. Exactly, yeah, which is messy, but maybe that's better than nothing, I don't know.
Any other comments, concerns, questions? We don't have any old business unless anyone has anything to add. Any last announcements, questions, comments? No. I will adjourn at 8:27 p.m.